It has been a little bit since we have dove into a little something about Black Ops 7. For those who don't know, the next Call of Duty game coming out this year is Call of Duty Black Ops 7. It's a direct sequel, and they state this directly from Treyarch and Activision, to Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 6. Now, one of those games takes place in 1991, that of course being Black Ops 6. The other one takes place in 2025. Well, as it turns out, Black Ops 7 takes place in the year 2035. And immediately when I saw the very first trailer and learned about when it takes place, there was one thing that I found really weird. You know that robot that we're introduced to at the very beginning that is seemingly somewhat sentient, is AI driven, and is seemingly going to be a big part of the game? Well, we've seen one of those before.
Petty Officer First Class, E3N, Enhanced Tactical Humanoid, 3rd Revision.
That's a mouthful.
You ain't kidding. Call me Ethan, ma'am.
What are your orders?
I'm assigned to Retribution, reporting to Captain Alder.
Program for combat?
Thoroughly, ma'am. Born to kill.
That was Ethan, or E3N, from Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Now here's the weird thing. Black Ops 7 takes place in 2035. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare takes place in 2187. So what this means is that this part of technology seemingly didn't advance too much in basically 150 years. But it's weirder than this because the technology throughout the Call of Duty universe actually goes a lot deeper than this. You may or may not know this, but it was established after Modern Warfare 2019 was released, and specifically a little bit more into Black Ops Cold War. There's this little thing called the Call of Duty Cinematic Universe with an overarching timeline that basically includes most of the Call of Duty games. But the technology that we see in Black Ops 7 actually tells us a lot more about that timeline and how this game fits in as a whole than you may realize. And that is why I say this is the strange connection of Black Ops 7. So to understand what I'm talking about here, we have to go through the technology through the several different Black Ops games. Starting out with Black Ops 2, there was a corporation by the name of the Tacitus Corporation. I might be saying that wrong, but this corporation produced drones and military technology, and at one point was awarded $50 billion from the US military to create UAVs. However, here's the reality of it. It was actually a shell corporation for the villain of the 2025 storyline by the name of Raul Menendez. As we know, Raul Menendez ended up being super evil, but as a sole proprietor for the corporation, once they ended up taking him out, Tacitus Corporation was then dissolved and bought up by another company by the name of this. This is the Coalescence Corporation. This is the company that bought Tacticus and all of its drones and all of its robotics and everything like that. Now, the thing that we need to know about the Coalescence Corporation is that they are the company that we see an in-depth look at in Black Ops 3. They are the ones that worked on the direct neural interfaces, and without them, the story of Black Ops 3 never would have existed. Now, after 2025, after they bought out all of Tacticus, they began working on human augmentations, continuing their work on robotics, but by the time the year 2045-ish came around, that's when they really started to work on direct neural interfaces. Now, what happened between that time? Well, there's actually a couple of things. Starting out in the year 2045, we have someone by the name of Savannah Mason. No, you didn't hear that wrong. It's Alex Mason's granddaughter, or David Mason's daughter. She ends up being the world's first trillionaire, with a focus on robotics, engineering, and a little something called the Blackout Project, which is creating archetypes. Have you ever heard of Dolly? Yeah, the replica of the sheep? Well, yeah, she was doing that with humans in the year 2045. So she also owned this robotics technology company as well, but she wasn't the only one. And in fact, there was another company by the name of Deisler Robotics that was also there in the year 2045, which made most of the score streaks and vehicles that you see within Black Ops 4, including the RCXD, AGR, the Claw, the Dragonfire, the Mantis, the FA-38 from Black Ops 2. So a bunch of things that they worked on as well. So at this point, we have Tacticus we have Deisler Robotics, and then we have Savannah Mason. So that's what it's looking like in the year 2045, but keep in mind, Black Ops 7 is in the year 2035, and that is where we get to figure out what is going on here, because there's another company in this game, and we know that they are called the Guild.
Welcome to the Guild. We have been expecting you. Please, follow me.
Now here's the thing, we know a little bit more about the Guild than originally meets the eye, because you see, the Guild was actually introduced to us within Call of Duty Black Ops 6, but not as a massive robotics company, as a crime family within Avalon.
She used to be part of the Guild, one of the most powerful Avalon factions, but now she freelances.
Now what's interesting is we also know, based off of the trailer that was already released, is that Avalon is going to be a major part of the story and the campaign within Black Ops 7. We can see it towards the end of the trailer. And this is what we know about Avalon in the year 1991.
But I can tell you a thing or two about Avalon. It's a playground for the filthy rich, and crime factions run the whole city.
Now here's what I found interesting about the trailer. In the trailer, we see Emma Kagan, who seemingly is like the CEO or owner of the Guild, and she is showing off a bunch of the technologies that are owned by the Guild, which looks incredibly similar to a bunch of the technology that we saw at Deisler Robotics in the year 2045. In fact, that is not the only thing that looks similar, because if we have a look at the logo for Deisler, it is incredibly similar to the logo that is shown on the door that opens up when we enter the Guild at the very beginning of the trailer. And then we have the robot. Now, this robot, like I said, looks extremely familiar to the robot that we have in the year 2187 within Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. But it's not the only robot that we have seen like this. See, in Call of Duty Black Ops 4 and Black Ops 3, there was someone by the name of Reaper. Now, Reaper was another version of what is called EWR-115, or Experimental War Robot 115, which was basically a more advanced version of the robot that we were seeing at the Guild. They're essentially the same thing, but with weapons placed upon the robot and made into a soldier. It is the earliest version of this, and as we can see, it looks incredibly familiar. Now, the important part about this is EWR-115 was created in the year 2040, meaning after the events of Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Also, it was created by the Coalescence Corporation. Now, another thing that we know that the Coalescence Corporation worked on was exosuits, and lo and behold, in two multiplayer images that have been leaked for Black Ops 7, both of which contain soldiers wearing exosuits. So in other words, there is this really weird crossover between number one, the Guild, which of course has the robot that greets us at the entrance to the building, and then of course to Deisler Robotics, which was a part of the 2045 story and all of the kind of score streaks and robotics that are going on there. And then we have the Coalescence Corporation, which really doesn't sprout its wings until the year of 2040, 2045, but also used to be the Tacticus Corporation, which was owned and operated by Raul Menendez. So really, what I am saying is the story of Black Ops 7 may as well be an origin story to what will eventually become of the Coalescence Corporation. And also, we have that one other mysterious thing of Savannah Mason, who is this world's trillionaire who may somehow be involved with the Guild, and as we know, David Mason already is. Now, here's the thing that all of you are probably wondering about from the very beginning. What about Ethan from Infinite Warfare? Well, here's the thing. Ethan, and specifically Infinite Warfare, has never been connected to the Call of Duty cinematic universe. This is something I've always wanted to dive further into because there are little strands, but because the games are so far apart, the year 2187, they are very difficult to connect. For example, one thing I can give you is there is someone in the name by the name of Radislav Barkov, the same last name as Roman Barkov from Modern Warfare 2019. That is really the only connection other than the Guild having a robot that looks very similar to Ethan. So those are some of the connections that we can see between all of these games and all of their technology. It'll be interesting to see if this is more of like an origin story for what happens in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4, or whether they just kind of do their own story based off of the guild and maybe these robots are not connected at all. There's one other thing I wanted to say though. First of all, I have never made a story video about Infinite Warfare, and if you'd like to see one, just show me by hitting that like button. The other thing is we did get a little bit of Black Ops 7 news as I was editing this video, and that is the fact that the next time the official reveal of the game is announced to be on August 19th at Gamescom Opening Night Live. We predicted that months ago. Turns out we were absolutely correct. So if you want to stay up to date on everything Black Ops 7, the story, anything in between, make sure you're subscribed, have notifications on, and until next time, peace.
We are reaching for the stars.